Welcome to Escape to the Country. This ruinous and windswept former royal stronghold perched high on this hill was built originally to last for centuries, but instead, just decades after it was completed, it fell into the state you see behind me. But what happened to it, and where are we? Well, join me in just a moment, and I'll tell you. Today, our house-hunting pair are eager to relive childhood memories in a country that's captured their hearts, even though that enthusiasm may be kept under wraps. Is this one doing it for you?
Yeah.
Is this Jane being excited, John?
Yeah, I never get excited.
Just so I know what to look for, that's OK. But it's not long before encouraging signs become more obvious.
You know, I'd love to stay here.
Well, you might own it. Who knows? Who knows? Well, today we are in North Wales, amidst the ruins of the once impressive fortress of Castell Dinas Bran, or Crow Castle in English. It's thought it was built sometime around about 1260 by a royal prince of Powys, but following Edward I's invasion of Wales, well, it was abandoned and then deliberately destroyed, putting it out of use forever in 1277. Later on in the show, I'll be back here, taking a closer look at ongoing efforts to preserve it in this stunning, if harsh, landscape. Prices across all of Wales are an impressive £100,000 below the national figure for both England and Wales, which means you certainly get a lot more value for money here than you do over the border in England. But when it comes to North Wales, well, prices here can be surprisingly expensive, and that's because of some really good transport links to major cities like Chester, Liverpool and Manchester. And of course, coastal hotspots like Conway in the north and Abersoch in the west also come with a premium attached because of their popularity with tourists. So, what about today's buyers? What's attracted them to this part of the world? Well, let's meet them and find out. Jane and her husband John from Congleton in Cheshire met 28 years ago on a night out.
We first met in a nightclub in Manchester. I was on a hen party.
My friend really fancied her, and I knew she was looking at me.
The next day I said, I definitely won't be marrying that one. And here I am, what, 26 years later?
They were married in 1989 and now have a 10-year-old son, Jordan. They've lived in their 5-bedroom house for 24 years, but have always had a yearning to be somewhere more rural, particularly somewhere that stirred their souls when they were growing up.
When I was a child, I used to go to Wales every year. Most of my memories are Llandudno and that sort of area around Snowdon and the Conway Valley. I used to go for long walks, walking all day in the hills.
John's introduction to North Wales was quite different. He was admitted to hospital there when he was just 3 years old. Times were tough, but he did find some solace from the surrounding Welsh scenery.
I developed TB through a fractured spine from a fall I had when I was a child. They transferred me to Abergele in Wales for 5 years, and then once I was able to move around, I was able to explore the wonderful forest within the hospital grounds and the farmland. It didn't really feel like a hospital. It was more like it was my home as I know it, and yes, it brings back happy memories.
John has retired from his job as an electrical engineer, and Jane's hoping to slow things down in her job as a neonatal nurse. But they do have plans for making a living from home when they move.
We'd like an annex.
And just do holiday lets, or if that wasn't enough, work part-time, and so there's less stress.
You know, take the pressure.
Yeah, and if not going out to work as much and be enjoying family life and
have more time with Jordan.
And they've got plenty of hobbies to keep them busy in their downtime too.
I've got my music. I've got another hobby on the side, you know, boat building. Model boats, that is, not the big ones. That keeps me busy.
I do enjoy cooking. I spend quite a lot of time in the kitchen. And even when Jordan could barely sit up, he was grating carrots and got involved in all the cooking.
So with their house on the market and Jordan in his last year at primary school, this family unit is excited about getting the wheels in motion on their move.
Hopefully it'll be the last move we'll make. We want to make it our forever home, and where we'll be happy forever.
Jane and John have asked us to concentrate our search between the Conway Valley and Llangollen.
And before we begin our house hunt, I'm meeting them in North Wales to ensure I'm across the finer details of their property wish list.
Jane, John, welcome to Escape to the Country and welcome to North Wales. This is a part of the world that both of you know very well. What kind of a property have you been thinking about?
We're looking for a large cottage with a large kitchen. The bigger the better. 4 to 5 bedrooms, it'd be nice, you know,
Wow.
decent size.
Wow. What about outside?
I'd say about an acre, but John wants more than that.
2 to 3 to be right, really.
2 to 3 acres. What are you going to do with them?
Well, you know, we might have the odd garden party. Invite some famous friends round.
I was going to say, this is a very different kind of life to what it is in Congleton at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know you're a keen musician. You've got a music studio at the moment. You clearly want one of those as well.
Yes.
And you and I share a peculiar passion for building model ships.
That's right.
So you need a studio for that as well?
Yes, both little boys.
Yeah, we are, indeed. Absolutely. I also gather you want some holiday let potential.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've stayed in a couple and we've got the idea, you know, when we speak to the owners and they tell us all about what's involved, what they can earn a year, and, you know, it's something that we'd like to think about, you know, for when I'm retired and for when Jane retires, you know, just something to support the pension pot.
And I suppose that leads us very nicely on to talk about how much you want to spend on this endeavour, Jane.
Well, if there was work to be done, about 550,000. If it was all completely perfect and we didn't need to spend anything, about 600.
Well, we've got some good weather. Not always the case in North Wales. And 3, I think, really interesting properties to show you, including, of course, our mystery house. So let's go house hunting. Come on, then.
For their top budget of £600,000, Jane and John are looking for a character property with spacious living quarters. Cook of the pair, Jane, would like a great kitchen, and they want 4 to 5 decent-sized bedrooms. They're also hoping for a property that comes with land, but are at odds as to exactly how much. We've chosen 3 fantastic and contrasting properties for them to view, but they'll only find out how much each one is after they've completed each tour. The final visit will be to our mystery property, which may need some lateral thinking, but could well be the home our buyers have been waiting for.
Is it rather strange, then, coming back here, having been a sort of child patient, John?
You know, my heart is with Wales, really, because I never knew I was going to come home. I just grew up in hospital all those years, and it was one day my father come to see me on a Sunday, went straight into the consultant and said I want to take him home. About time he came home, so, and that was a shock to me.
So your dad took you back out of Wales, really against your expectations, I suppose?
Yes, yes, and, you know, we met all my relations that I didn't realise I had when I went back to Manchester.
We're kicking off our journey around North Wales in the village of Melenni Weig in the county of Denbighshire. A good selection of amenities are just over 6 miles away in the larger village of Ceredigion in neighbouring Conway. In the 18th century, the legendary engineer Thomas Telford built a road between London and Holyhead that passed through this village, which was the main route to Ireland. And Queen Victoria was said to have stopped off here on her way to the Emerald Isle. The village has a primary school and a selection of cafes and watering holes to choose from, and is surrounded by unspoilt countryside. Just under 15 minutes away is the equally rural landscape of Melenni Weig.
Well, look at that for a setting.
Absolutely
Yes,
fantastic.
it's lovely, isn't it?
And there is property number 1.
Yes,
Yeah, I love the stoneworks.
and the Welsh slate.
As you probably might have guessed, it was an old farm. You've got this old collection of farm buildings that go with it. This has 6 acres.
Wow.
Got to be careful what you wish for, mate, you see. But it also has this ruined barn here, which has planning permission on it to be turned into a dwelling. So what do you think?
It looks quaint.
Can't wait to go in.
Yeah? Come on, then.
Nice.
This farmhouse is built from locally quarried stone and is thought to date back around 200 years. There's been a farm on this land since at least the 17th century. We're heading through the entrance hall and up into the kitchen diner.
There you go.
lovely. I love the fireplace. It's really, really nice. But I was hoping maybe a little bit bigger.
Could you forgive it that?
It's got potential to expand, because we have got a bigger kitchen than this.
Everything has its areas of compromise. Maybe on this one, the kitchen is one of them. And of course, it's easy for me to say, because I've seen what's on offer here. You haven't. Yeah. So follow me. Let me show you the rest of it.
We're stepping just across the hallway into the dining room, which is one of 2 reception rooms.
Now, this, to me, is where this property really starts to come to life.
Yes.
Perfect size for dining room.
Yeah? But the living room's through here. Come and have a look at this. Again, you step down into it. Isn't that lovely?
Yeah. It's like that. Yeah,
Oh, yes, it's nice, isn't it?
Stunning.
Oh, it is lovely, yes.
Yeah.
Are we selling this to you, Jane?
Lounge and dining room wise, yes. Kitchen wise, I want to change some of it.
Yeah? I'm not sensing a great deal of enthusiasm, Jane, for this one. That's what I'm driving at, I suppose.
Well, Jane is definitely keeping her cards close to her chest, but hopefully the rest of the house will elicit a more positive response. Also downstairs, there's a utility room and a family bathroom. Then an enclosed stairway leads up to the first floor, where there are 4 bedrooms, each with its own distinctive character. There's a double with wooden floors and a feature window. Another slightly larger double, and then there's a snug child's room, which leaves just the master.
And then this is your bit.
All right, yes.
It's bigger than what we've got at home.
Yes.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Nice size.
There's a much more storage than what's in the corner there.
You've got storage there. You've got storage in some of the other bedrooms as well. The house, I agree, you know, may be short on its immediate storage, clothing storage, shall we say. But, you know, the 6 acres that it comes with is littered with all sorts of outbuildings and loads of space. And that's really what we're going for here. So bear with us, all right? Come on, let's go outside.
Okay.
Back downstairs, a door from the utility room takes us outside, where we can fully appreciate what's on offer here.
Let's get to the main event, shall we? It's pretty much all that you can see that way. Includes this huge breeze block barn.
That's very useful, that.
There's also a strip of paddock behind it, and it includes that static caravan up there too.
Yes.
Which is all powered and watered, as it were.
It is lovely. Well, you know, this what we see, this is what I've got in mind, all the options that are available.
Well, and then what would you do out here with the lets? Do the
log cabins or something like that.
Something like that out there.
key thing, of course, is going to be the price.
Yeah. I guess about 525.
525, yeah.
I think it's way below budget. I would say
Who's hoping?
495.
You're both, I'm afraid, absolutely way off. On this occasion, I'm afraid it's £465,000.
Right. Ooh.
There you go.
Scaring you then, thinking, oh, no.
465.
Okay.
Now, the current estimate on doing up the barn there is about 150,000, which would take you more or less to your 600 grand.
Yeah.
Of course.
Quite surprised, really.
Yeah. Well, look, go and have a closer look at that barn, and I will come and find you a little bit later on.
Okay.
Off you go.
Thank you, Jules.
This fabulous farmhouse with all its land and outbuildings has rung in at more than £100,000 under Jane and John's budget. It offers them the character and space they want, and also the right number of bedrooms. Outside, the acreage and barn give them plenty of options to have a holiday-let business with a stunning view.
Right, Jane, what do you think of
Big,
this?
isn't it? Plenty of space.
It'd be nice to have sections of workshops with different aspects of work. Just proof area. I'm quite impressed with the house, really. You know, it's got great potential. If we go ahead with this, this is what I would be looking at, you know, to improve things for our way of life here.
Overall, I think it's a good package. With the money that would be left in the budget to make it how we want it. And the main thing I'd want to do is make the kitchen bigger. So I've got a bit more kitchen, dining, family room area.
Got it all planned out then?
Yeah.
Can you reimagine it as something else?
Yes, we can.
But we have got lots more to show you. So take one more look at that view, take it in, imprint it on your minds, and let's get going.
Cheers. Lovely view. I love it.
Come on.
Wales is proud of its many regional delicacies, and as Jane is such a keen baker, we've sent her and John to sample a Welsh delight available in the market town of Llanrwst. Here in the shadow of the Snowdonia National Park are the Tir Hwnt i'r Bont tea rooms next to the Inigo Jones Bridge. Hwnt i'r Bont means beyond the bridge in Welsh, and Tim Maddox took over the tea rooms with his wife 12 years ago.
The tea rooms was built in 1480, the bridge about 100 years after the tea rooms. The building wasn't actually tea rooms originally, it was the local courthouse for the area. And then if we move on several centuries, it fell into disrepair a few times. Eventually it was bought by the town, it was repaired and turned into a tea rooms in the 1930s. And it's been a tea rooms ever since. It's great, you know, and it's a landmark for this area.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
What sort of foods do you make in the tea room?
We make all of our own food in the tea rooms, everything apart from the jam and the bread. We make our own scones, which we're renowned for. We make our own Bara-Brith, which we've won awards for.
What is Bara-Brith?
It's a really moist, rich cake, so it's got a great shelf life. It lasts well once it's been cut. It literally translates into speckled bread. Traditionally, it used to be taken away in lunch boxes for the miners or the people that worked in the forestry or just general workers.
Bara-Brith may be a Welsh delicacy, but it can be found as far away as Argentina. In 1865, when Welsh settlers sailed to the South American country, they took the cake with them, and it's still enjoyed there today. Now, something that sounds that good has surely got to be road tested, and Tim's wife Isla has invited Jane and John back to their nearby house to bake some of the traditional Welsh cake. Now, everyone's recipe differs slightly, and Isla inherited hers when she took over the tea rooms.
Okay, first of all, we take our mixed fruit, and this, you can see, it's been soaking in tea overnight. And the fruit that we've got here, we've got currants, we've got sultanas, we've got raisins, and we've got mixed peel.
Breakfast tea bags have been steeped in boiling water and dark brown sugar. Self-raising flour and mixed spice are added, and it's all given a good stir.
Oh, that's lovely. I love spicy stuff, yeah.
And that's what makes a lovely smell when it's cooking as well. Right, do you want to have a go?
How many of these do you have to make a day?
At the moment, we're making around 100, 150 a day.
Wow.
During the summer months, when we're really busy, the numbers go up.
2 whisked eggs are then added to the mixture.
And then final ingredient is the marmalade. And what the marmalade does is it's like adding the tea, it adds moisture as well as flavour, so it keeps the loaf lovely, rich.
A final stir and the fragrant mixture is spooned into lined cake tins and popped into the oven for an hour to an hour and a quarter. And when the Bara-Brith is baked, it's down to the tea rooms to meet Tim for a tasting session. But the cake supposedly tastes even better after it's rested for a few days.
Thank you.
John?
Thank you, Tim.
That's really moist. You can really taste the fruit.
Lovely and soft and fresh.
Juicy fruit in it. And thank you very much. That was wonderful. It was a lovely time.
You're very welcome. Yeah, it's nice to meet you both.
Really enjoyed it. It's been wonderful.
I wish all our guests made their cakes with us.
And you must take this one back for your son, so he can have a try on that you made yourself. Yeah, no problem at all.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
So now we've whetted their appetites, it's back to the house hunt for Jane and John. For our next destination, we're on our way to the village of Llandogwed, situated in the Conway Valley, our buyers know and love, and only a mile and a half from the amenities of Llanrwst. Just outside the town is Gwydir Castle, a fortified manor house said to be one of the most haunted properties in Wales. The town has a primary and a secondary school along with plenty of amenities, including dining pubs. Back in Llandogwed is our second property, which majors on the house for Jane over the land for John.
Now,
That is something.
this is a very different proposition
That's more my cup of tea.
to our first one. Is this more your cup of tea?
Yeah.
It is, yes.
It's an old rectory. It is technically a semi, believe it or not. That white bit
So, yeah.
isn't yours, but the rest of it is.
Yes.
To our right, you've got a brand new 2-bed cottage or holiday let, depending on how you decide to use it.
Right.
But I really hope, when we get through the door, this flicks a few more switches.
Yes.
Come on, let's have a look inside.
Okay.
This handsome stone property was built in 1829 and was renovated to a very high standard from a near derelict state 15 years ago.
Let's start in here. There you go.
That's nice, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. You like it like this, but you'd like, you know, a beam on your fireplace, which you could easily change.
Yes,
And then
that's
bricks.
cosmetic.
Yeah, that's
really.
nothing.
Now, the kitchen in the last property was one of the big sticking points. Tell me what you think of this one.
There you go.
And Jane's domain is found just across the hallway.
Yeah, that's more like
Wow. Yes.
Yeah? As you can see, the kitchen extends right the way through that lovely oak archway into this sort of atrium, runs across the full length of the property and comes out the other side, of course, of the living room. So come on, Jane. You know, we're pulling out all the stops. Is this one doing it for you?
Yeah.
Is this Jane being excited, John?
Yeah, I
Yes.
never get excited.
Just so I know what to look for, that's OK. If this is excited Jane, that's all right with me. Yeah. Is it exciting you, though, mate?
It is, yes, as we go along, yes, it's improving.
Also on the ground floor, there's a utility room and a cloakroom, and then there's an added bonus. In the basement, accessed by a hatch in the atrium, is a cellar in use as a gym, as well as for wine storage. Then upstairs on the first floor, there are 4 bedrooms, 3 of which have en suites. There's a colourful master, a bright double, a smaller room currently used as a dressing room, and lastly on this floor there's a 3rd double, which, like the others, has its own ensuite. And on top of all of those en-suites, there's a stylish family bathroom. 1 floor up, there's an attic office and yet another double bedroom. But if all that wasn't enough, there's still the adjoining self-contained cottage to see.
Wow, that's brilliant. I could stay here.
Could you?
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping you would say.
Most definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Modern kitchen, nicely appointed, and that lovely oak staircase gets you up to 2 further bedrooms and a family bathroom.
It's as good as next door.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, take your pick, really.
Yeah, no, I'd love to stay here.
Well, you might own it. Who knows? Who knows? If you can afford it. Yeah. Come on, then. Open the door, John. Get your thinking caps on. What's this one worth, eh?
Outside, there's also a workshop in a carport with a large room above it. And finally, a summer house from which to enjoy the landscape garden.
Well, I did promise you a big property when we started the tour here. Perhaps a little more than you were expecting, even so.
Yes, definitely.
We haven't got all that land for you to play with.
No, no.
But I don't think that's really what's on offer here in
Well,
terms of the sort of lifestyle it can offer you. This is about you in a lovely, sumptuous family
You've got
home.
these views here, and this is about the house amongst all this beauty.
What do you think this one is on the market for?
I'm looking at 480.
480.
You'll be sorry.
OK, Jane.
560.
I like where you're going with that. However, he's almost right. He's almost right.
Really?
It's 495.
Right.
Wow.
Well, I think now is the perfect time for you to go and have another look inside. Off you go.
OK.
I'll come and find you later.
OK, thanks, Jules.
This former rectory has surprised us all with its price tag, more than £100,000 below our budget. It's got the featured kitchen Keen Cook Jane wanted, and just the number of bedrooms thereafter, along with options for John's hobby rooms. But best of all, this property has a beautifully appointed holiday let that's ready to go, and it could give Jane the career break she's dreaming of. The property may not come with acres of land, but the garden is beautifully designed and boasts rural views.
I like this property because it's got all the main things that we were asking for. Kitchen is the main thing that I go for in a house, and the kitchen is got the wow factor.
It's more exciting, this house. It's more like what we're looking for. It's quirky, it's cute. The more I go around it, the more ideas I've got of what I could do.
This house has got a really lovely, warm feel, homely feel about it, and I could see all 3 of us living here very happily.
Now, I know on paper this wasn't technically what you were looking for, but have we sold it?
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
You can't tease me with that. Well, there is one more property, of course, for you to see. That's a mystery house tomorrow morning. But in the meantime, come on, let's go.
It's the second and final day of our trip around North Wales, searching out a spacious family house so Jane and John from Congleton in Cheshire can call the country they love home. And with a top budget of £600,000, they want somewhere with a fantastic kitchen for Jane and land for John. Still to come, our pair will have to get thinking when we introduce the mystery house.
Are we going to persuade you that this one might work?
Yeah,
or is
we
number
might do.
2 still at the front of your mind?
No, you might persuade me.
And I'll be visiting some remarkable ruins with breathtaking 360-degree views.
Fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Well, when I first met Jane and John, they gave me a shopping list as long as my arm. They wanted lots of acres, lots of holiday lets, and a property with lots of bedrooms. And I think we pretty much got there with property number 1. But for a couple who, let's face it, aren't giving that much away, well, their reactions said it all at property number 2. It didn't have everything they wanted, but they've certainly fallen in love with it. So what can we possibly come up with for our final offering, our mystery house? Well, going back to their original brief, it's got loads of land and loads of business potential. So will it put a cat among the pigeons? Let's see.
Our journey to the mystery house takes us to the hamlet of Prion back in Denbighshire, which is just outside the village of Llanrydder, where the nearest amenities are to be found. Here, the narrow village streets are flanked by rows of stone cottages. There's a handsome church, a pub to serve locals, and a primary school. Nearby are the ruins of King Edward I's 13th century Denbigh Castle, with views across the Vale of Llwyd. Back in Prion, in an equally spectacular rural setting, is our mystery house.
There it is.
Wow.
That's good.
Looks good, yes, from here.
But why have we brought you here? Why is this our mystery house? Now, everything else we've shown you so far has had a holiday let element to it. This one has none of that. It is essentially an equestrian property with about 4.5 acres, maybe just under. With this one, I think it gives you, again, lots of possibilities in terms of yurts, shepherd's huts, log cabins, whatever. And, of course, they make the best of the views over to the Llwydian Range, because that's your land running down there. So that's why we've come to this one. It also has this former chicken coop, which is now a fairly messy sort of workshop, but I think you get the idea, John. You could certainly improve that. Are we going to persuade you that this one might work? Or is number 2 still at the front of your mind?
No, you might persuade me.
Good. Let's see if we can. Come on.
This country home is 400 years old with later additions. It has a background as a farm. The house is accessed via a bright conservatory at the front, which leads us into a cosy snug full of rustic charm. But we're heading to the kitchen, which is just next door. And I know it's the room the cook of our pair is most keen to see.
There we go, Jane.
I like it, but I would have liked it a bit bigger so I could get a table in.
In terms of making it bigger, the utility room is behind me. It would be quite a number, I suspect, to try and combine these.
Right.
But as it stands, it's classic country kitchen.
It is classic, but I do think it's a bit on the small side.
However, in the living area, there is a dining end. Come and have a look at this.
Okay.
There's also a little study area in there, sort of purpose-built. But there we go. I think this room is gorgeous as a family space, actually.
Oh, this is nice, yes.
This is the nicest lounge of the 3 houses.
Yes.
Yeah, it's got a really homely feel about it.
Cosy.
Yeah.
Downstairs has had much more attention paid to it over more recent years than upstairs, which is a little older in feel. However, there's still lots of space up there.
Potential.
So let's complete the picture in your mind.
Okay.
Follow me.
Also on the ground floor and behind the kitchen, there's a shower room. Then moving upstairs and off a long, narrow hallway are 4 double bedrooms, all at the front of the house and all served by a tiled family bathroom at the back. There's a beautifully bright bedroom nearest the stairs, a slightly smaller one but just as bright, and a third next door. So that just leaves the largest of the 4.
Yeah, it's lovely. Like the beam across there, and a bit of a slope on the roof.
It has its merits.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
I
nice.
could see myself
It's
living
nice.
here.
Now, bear in mind, we've come here not just because of the property, but also because, importantly, it offers you that land that you spoke so highly of when we first met.
Yeah.
Come on, let's have a look at it and see what you might do with it.
As well as the acreage that comes with this one, there's a stable block at the side of the house with 3 stables. So our mystery house is certainly giving our pair food for thought, as they'd have to employ some creative thinking to turn it into the business they're after.
We've now seen what this offers you on the inside. Now let's deal with the outside, the land element. Let's say about 4.5 acres or so.
Right.
And the boundary is that big hedge at the bottom. And then back up, and it includes this black tin shed here, and that little white stone building as well, which I'm guessing might have been the old privy once to this place. Yes, at the moment it's an equestrian property, but with the right planning permission, you could go for something potentially here that would give you that holiday let business. And all of it overlooked by the beautiful Llywelyn Range. So, Jane.
I reckon it's about 550.
We're still below budget, way below budget, and I'm looking at spot on 500.
Spot on 500. He's annoyingly good at this. But for 50 quid, mate,
Right.
you are spot on. It's on at 499,950.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go.
You've done brilliant. It's been fantastic what you've shown us.
Good. Go and have a wander around, and I will catch up with you a little bit later on.
Okay. Thank you, Jules.
Our detached mystery house has come in well under Jane and John's top budget and would leave them just over £100,000 in the kitty if they decide to go for it. It's got the charm and character they're after and enough rooms to give John a choice of homes for his instruments and boats. And outside, there's enough land and outbuildings with potential to turn this home into the small business venture they're after.
Good size for a double bed, but
Right, for
seems
visitors.
to be stuck for storage space, really.
You could build a little cupboard around the corner there, couldn't you?
You thinking of... Oh, you're closing that?
Yeah.
I was thinking of my model boats.
Oh, right. Of course.
Oh, the mystery house is fantastic. It's lovely. You've got 360 degrees views all around you. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, the mystery house has given us thought and think about what we wanted again. The only thing that we're not really happy with is the kitchen, really. But we could probably do a bit of an extension somewhere because there's plenty of land and there is the potential with the holiday let side of it.
I could see myself living here, me and Jane. I was imagining that. You know, it's something I'm going to think about, really. I've not ruled it out.
That's it, I'm afraid, guys. There is nothing more to see. Our house tours are over. Your job now is to go away on your own and think about it.
Yes, it is.
Ready for that?
Yeah.
Come on, then.
Let's go.
Wales has castles and ancient ruins scattered across its stunning landscape, giving a glimpse into the country's checkered past. In fact, there are an estimated 600+ castle sites perched on vantage points, most but not all of which were built by English lords as fortifications at a time of unrest between the two countries. I believe one of the most fascinating of these is Castell Dinas Bran outside Llangollen, overlooking the Dee Valley. Sitting within the Llywelyn Range, it's currently 2 decades into a project to preserve it. David Shield works for the Llywelyn Range and Dee Valley area of outstanding natural beauty and is one of the senior countryside officers. His role includes landscape conservation, and he's going to tell me more about the castle's history.
It was established by Madog ap Griffith in the 1260s as part of the defences of this border area with the English. The Welsh were at odds with the English at that time.
But the castle itself was famously short-lived. What happened?
We know that Edward I's armies came up the valley in 1277, and at that point it looks like the castle was abandoned by the Welsh and burned, probably, to render it useless to the English.
I guess this is amongst a rare bunch of surviving Welsh castles built by a Welsh prince.
That's absolutely, that's what makes it special. It's a Welsh castle, and particularly in this part of Wales, there are very few remaining.
It must really suffer the ravages of the elements being perched on that hill.
It does, and we basically want to stop it sort of disappearing and stop it the ravages of time taking its toll.
Welsh-built castles tended to have simpler designs than their English counterparts, relying more on the rugged terrain of the landscape around them to act as natural defences. And the spot Dinas Bran is in certainly means climbing up to the castle is no easy feat, but it's definitely worth the effort when you reach the top.
Fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Gosh. Now, the history of Dinas Bran is dominated by the medieval story, but I gather there's a much older history associated with this site.
Well, the rock formations here tell a very interesting geological story going much further back in time and starting to paint a picture of what the landscape was like millions of years ago.
So how old are these rocks that we're standing on now?
These rocks were laid down around about 415 million years ago.
415?
So, a long time before the medieval armies came up the valley.
Before any of us were ever thought about. For all of its pedigree, does it make good castle building material?
Well, it's easy to quarry, and they've quarried out of the moat here to gather the stone to build the castle. So in that respect, it's quite good. It's easily won, but it's quite friable, so the longevity is not great, and that's part of the problem that we've got in halting its sort of deterioration.
Friable means the rock crumbles easily, but combine that with the castle's historic destruction, it's a wonder there's anything left to see at all.
Can you recognise any of the key components that would have made it function?
Well, you can see that this is the outer wall here, the keep, which is the kind of...
That's the main event, isn't it?
The stronghold of the castle, and the main hall of the castle with these fantastic windows.
The Des Res.
The Des Res, that's the place to entertain.
These ruins are clearly impressive, but the castle would have been even more so when it was first built, before it was ravaged by both war and the weather. After the Welsh abandoned Dinas Bran, it was briefly taken over by the English, whose commander said there is no stronger castle in all Wales.
We've been up here for the last 20 years, sort of trying to maintain the walls as they are, trying to not to rebuild any of it, but just to keep it in the ruinous state that it is and stop it getting any more ruinous, but doing it in a way where you actually can't tell that we've been here.
And what are the guys doing over here?
Well, this is the last piece of work still to do, this last archway, basically to stop it falling down.
Paul Warand is responsible for running the conservation work up here.
We've introduced some modern materials. We've put stainless steel dowels through either side of the legs of the arch. And then we've used grout, which is a lime-based grout.
And in terms of the lime that you're using, Paul, is this as historically akin to what was used originally?
It was. I mean, the sand is a local sand from the Denbighshire area, and the lime it's a basic natural material. So, obviously we've mixed them together. It bonds and protects the building.
How long do you think your repairs will last for?
Well, I mean, they will see me out, and I'd like to think that my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren will be able to come up and see it as well. Still here for everybody to enjoy.
It is a sobering thought, though, to think that you've been repairing it for longer than it was probably lived in.
Thanks for that, yes, thank you.
Well, from one wonderful Welsh address to three. I wonder if Jane and John have come any closer to their country dream. Well, house hunting, of course, does take an awfully long time. Making sense of everything you've seen can take even longer. But you know what? This week, with these two, I think it's been a fairly quick decision. Ah, look at this. The scene of tranquility. But have we managed to find you a property for the future?
Yes, we really, really liked property number 2.
We are thinking of making a second visit. We're going to bring Jordan with us this time. We've looked at the schools and just do a little bit more research, but it's not got everything we wanted, but there you go. That's the way it is.
It is funny, isn't it, how one's wish list can change once the properties start revealing themselves on all that they offer. Has it been a surprise to you, Jane?
I thought that John would stick out for land.
But you didn't. You compromised.
No. And I did compromise because I like it, the property and where it is, the situation. It's important that we're still within reach of the local community rather than being out in the sticks, so to speak.
And what about that separate cottage, Jane?
Because it was under budget, the difference in the price, then I could maybe leave work earlier, and what I will lose in pension I could make up for with the holiday let.
I can see Jordan moving into that cottage when he's a bit older, you know.
You'll have to pay us.
Yeah, well, there you go. We'll give him a family discount. Brilliant, guys. Well, look, it's been an awful lot of fun. I'm really pleased you're going back to have a second look at our second property, and it's been a real pleasure. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jules.
Well, there you have it. We may well be on the verge of concluding yet another successful house hunt here on Escape to the Country, and the reason is simple. You can have a wish list that can stretch from here to the sky, but at the end of the day, it comes down to one very simple notion, that of compromise. And that is exactly what Jane and John have managed to do in the heart of the glorious Conway Valley. It's long been one of my favourite parts of North Wales, and as it turns out, it's one of theirs too. Happy days. I'll see you next time.
Jane and John did revisit our second property, and although they're still considering it, they've yet to decide exactly what their next move will be. But if you'd like to escape to the country in Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales or England and would like our help, then please apply online at bbc.co.uk/Be On A Show.
Welcome to Escape to the Country. This ruinous and windswept former royal stronghold perched high on this hill was built originally to last for centuries, but instead, just decades after it was completed, it fell into the state you see behind me. But what happened to it, and where are we? Well, join me in just a moment, and I'll tell you.
Today, our house hunting pair are eager to relive childhood memories in a country that's captured their hearts, even though that enthusiasm may be kept under wraps.
Is this one doing it for you?
Yeah.
Is this Jane being excited, John?
Yeah, I never get excited.
Just so I know what to look for, that's okay.
But it's not long before encouraging signs become more obvious.
You know, I'd love to stay here.
Well, you might own it. Who knows? Who knows? Well, today we are in North Wales, amidst the ruins of the once impressive fortress of Castell Dinas Bran, or Crow Castle in English. It's thought it was built sometime around about 1260 by a royal prince of Powys, but following Edward I's invasion of Wales, well, it was abandoned and then deliberately destroyed, putting it out of use forever in 1277. Later on in the show, I'll be back here, taking a closer look at ongoing efforts to preserve it in this stunning, if harsh, landscape. Prices across all of Wales are an impressive £100,000 below the national figure for both England and Wales, which means you certainly get a lot more value for money here than you do over the border in England. But when it comes to North Wales, well, prices here can be surprisingly expensive, and that's because of some really good transport links to major cities like Chester, Liverpool and Manchester. And of course, coastal hotspots like Conway in the north and Abersoch in the west also come with a premium attached because of their popularity with tourists. So, what about today's buyers? What's attracted them to this part of the world? Well, let's meet them and find out.
Jane and her husband John from Congleton in Cheshire met 28 years ago on a night out.
We first met in a nightclub in Manchester. I was on a hen party.
My friend really fancied her, and I knew she was looking at me.
The next day I said, I definitely won't be marrying that one. And here I am, what, 26 years later.
They were married in 1989 and now have a 10-year-old son, Jordan. They've lived in their 5-bedroom house for 24 years, but have always had a yearning to be somewhere more rural, particularly somewhere that stirred their souls when they were growing up.
When I was a child, I used to go to Wales every year. Most of my memories are Llandudno and that sort of area around Snowdon and Conway Valley. We used to go for long walks, walking all day in the hills.
John's introduction to North Wales was quite different. He was admitted to hospital there when he was just 3 years old. Times were tough, but he did find some solace from the surrounding Welsh scenery.
I developed TB through a fractured spine from a fall I had when I was a child. They transferred me to Abergele in Wales for 5 years, and then once I was able to move around, I was able to explore the wonderful forest within the hospital grounds and the farmland. It didn't really feel like hospital, it was more like it was my home as I know it. And yes, it brings back happy memories.
John has retired from his job as an electrical engineer, and Jane's hoping to slow things down in her job as a neonatal nurse. But they do have plans for making a living from home when they move.
We'd like an annex.
And just do holiday lets, or if that wasn't enough, work part-time, and so there's less stress.
You know, take the pressure.
Yeah, never not going out to work as